we left off with the theatre, and now we move on to paintings.
NordVPN isn't like the other girls.
What the fuck, senpai? Thank you for the prime.
Hello, incognito mode videos now.
Hi.
Right, so the schedule for this mini-series goes like this. We did the main channel on theatre, then an incognito mode on painting, which is this. Then there's a main channel on wine,
which
and then
we
an
watched.
Incognito mode on a bunch of stories around
Which
wine.
we watched.
And there's a main channel on things that people wear.
We
There's
didn't
a main
watch
channel
that,
on
yeah?
luxury goods, and then we round the whole thing
Didn't
off
watch
with
that.
2 more incognito modes.
Oh.
And then I go back into cryostasis. This first section is on the basics of painting, and we were a little bit worried to show it because we kind of felt like this will split the audience. Not because it's political or anything, but because it's so basic. So someone who already knows something about art would be like, yeah, of course, why are you telling me this? But for someone like me, who knows practically zero about art, I found it really interesting. I thought, why the heck haven't I been told this before, right? So, first section.
Understandable.
Quiet on the set.
Quiet on the set. It's the basics of painting. Oh man, I haven't spoken about the basics of painting in 15 years or more. It's been a while.
Basics of painting.
Action!
The arts. The arts. Do not put an F in front of that. Worst mistake I ever made in my life. Right, first, some things that'll make you go, yeah, and? Or, oh, right. So look at this colorful goo. Paint. Delicious in both jam and chip form.
Oh man.
But it's raw.
Why? Why you gotta show me jam? I want a sandwich now. I did not expect Internet Historian to make me hungry.
Components are just 2 essential things. An undissolving pigment and a medium. Now, pigments are basically just colorful dust, and the medium is the liquidy thing that the dust hangs out in. Now, the liquid determines what type of paint you have. Pigment plus water equals watercolors. Pigment plus glue equals acrylics. Pigment plus oil equals oil paints. So simple. And pigment plus...
I actually used oil paints quite a lot.
Moving on. Now, the pigment does not dissolve into the medium. Instead, it's just
look
kind
at
of
how pretty it
suspended in.
is.
When the pigment...
God damn it. This is making me want to paint again. Like, it is just so much joy and so much fun to paint. I used to paint on glass and on wood a lot. I haven't done it in a very long time, but yeah.
does dissolve into a medium, that's a dye. So that's the basic difference. Now, you have to transfer the paint onto the canvas. To do that, we need to talk tools. Well, first, you can just use your fingers. It was good enough for the cavemen, and it's good enough for your mom. So it's good enough for us.
What the heck? Sir? Sir, I did not need that image put in my head. Thank you very much.
Then we tried brushes. Now here is the anatomy of a brush. You've got the handle, the bristles, the ferrule, and the crimp.
I painted and I did not know that's called the crimp. I'm gonna be honest. I guess I learn something new every day. Oh.
Now the bristles are the most important bit. First we were just using mangled up reeds called fronds, but they got really good once we started using animal hair. Have a look at some of the animals we used. Boar, taken from the neck or the back of the pig. That is the kind of brush that Van Gogh used, and it's still the gold standard for today. A goat brush. It's good, but it's not the goat. Lacks some spring,
It's not
so
the
it's mostly
goat.
used for calligraphy. Badger. Now,
I actually did not know that goat is used for calligraphy. Interesting.
that's actually mostly used for shaving, not painting at all. Horse, raccoon, and wolf, also not great quality. But what's the worst quality of all? You know, the gutter oil of the brush world. Well, the worst quality is camel hair brushes. And they're mostly sold as arts and crafts brushes for kids. But the weird thing is, camel hair is so low quality that it's not even used in brushes at all. Huh? Yes,
what?
So-called camel hair brushes are actually made from cats and rabbits and squirrels.
What the fuck?
But that makes people kind of sad. So they changed the name to a much less cute animal and also one that's kind of exotic so you wouldn't question it. Now, what's the best brush of all?
What the fuck? Oh.
What is the S tier of brushes? Those are made from sable.
Oh my god, this, of course. 10 out of 10.
Now, sable is a type of
Oh,
weasel.
they're
These
so
are hunted for their fur for clothing.
I feel so bad about that.
It's him.
No.
But when they catch them to make clothes, they actually only want the body for the clothes. And so they discard the tail altogether. But those tails have the best hair for paintbrushes. And so they are snatched up by the brush makers. Now, the hair is special because it has an interlocking scales that vastly increases the surface area. But it also holds strong in the long term. Firm and bouncy, but also soft.
It's smooth. It
I
bounces,
didn't want to know
it moves.
this.
Only with new Tresemme Keratin Smooth.
Oh my
And they
god,
sell for upwards of $300
so
a brush.
cute.
Alright, here's a top 10 list, sort of maybe Watch Mojo style, of the most famous paintings, and just a few interesting things about them that you may not know. Pop quiz, sports shoe wearer. Look at this painting. What does it make you feel? Too late.
Nothing.
Or if you answered in time, wrong answer. Happy, sad. I bet those are the only two emotions you even know.
Nope.
The correct answer is shame, because you are embarrassing yourself. You know nothing about the arts. So it is time to look at the best paintings to ever exist. And let's begin with the most obscure of them all.
The Mona Lisa?
Whoever this is.
Yeah, I don't know who that is. I like how oh my god, I love the fact that he put course 1 Mona Lisa. What the heck? That's such a nice little animation touch right there.
No, Lisa. Now, I thought it went first name Mona, last name Lisa. Check it out. But turns out Mona is an honorific, meaning madam. So it's Madam Lisa. Now, relatively recently, historians have figured out who she actually is, and they found out that she's married to a Florentine merchant, Francesco del Giocondo. So that makes her Lisa del Gioconda, and that explains the alternative title of the work, La Gioconda. Now, the reason she has her arms crossed and is a little bit chubby is because she's pregnant. In fact, you can kind of see that she's wearing a veil, and that particular type of veil was worn by pregnant women at the time. Her husband commissioned the painting when Da Vinci was already well known, so it would have been very expensive.
The more you know.
And that makes it very funny for a couple of reasons. One, it was never handed over to the family. Instead, Leo left it in his will to his apprentice. And two, because for a couple of hundred years, the prevailing theory was that she was not an aristocratic wife, but instead, a prostitute.
There are theories that the painting is Leonardo's mom or himself in drag. Oh my god. Why?
Her hair being down and her almost absent eyebrows were common traits of working girls at the time. Anyway, why is this painting so famous? Well, Da Vinci was already pretty famous, and the painting got stolen. This became a very big news story, and her face suddenly started getting plastered on a whole bunch of newspapers and wanted posters, making her very recognizable. From there, she became the most famous painting, which is why she always looks so smug.
That's kind of funny, the story of like, hey, how did you get famous? Well, news traveled. The Starry Night, man. I have not seen this in forever.
Starry Night, Vincent van Gogh.
Yeah, I sure hope it does.
Painted while he was in the St. Paul de Musol Asylum. That's here. And this was the view from his bedroom window. Here is the real view a few decades later. He chose not to paint the metal bars. Now, you can see that there are 11 stars in the sky here. Supposedly, that's reference to Joseph from the Bible. Joseph, he had a hard life. The minivan, he had a hard life too. And he hoped that he would be remembered at least once he was gone, like Joseph. And you know what? It worked out for him because everybody remembers Van Gogh and nobody remembers the guys who bullied him and called him a ginger.
Oof. Oof. Hi, Spirit. No, I haven't beaten Elden Ring yet. But that's mostly because I haven't really played too much of it. Oh, damn. I mean, getting famous, right? It's very sad when you think about it. A lot of these people got famous after their death, after a very long time, and none of the money really kind of went to their family or anything like that.
Also, there's kind of a theory that he was killed by some kid. Go check out Wendigoon's channel for more information on that one. Ah, the birth of Venus. Alright, let me tell you what's happening in this one.
There are, like, theories of how people died long ago and stuff like that. I need to see that video. That sounds kind of intriguing. Or at least from the perspective of, like, huh.
So, there's this lady, Venus. She is the goddess of beauty, and she is coming up out of the ocean in a big clam, right?
Of course, we gotta have the clam. Yeah, I don't want to be famous either, which is ironic being a content creator, right?
Now, the clam is not a metaphor for her vagina. It's that she is the perfect pearl. Get it? Now, these two here are a divine wind.
What a catch.
They are blowing her like a hot spoonful of soup towards the shore. And she is carried all the way over to the beach. And this beach, by the way, is a real place called Paphos. It's in Cyprus. Here is what it looks like in real life. Now, when she arrives on the beach, a nymph shows up, which is this lady here, and she has a cloak, and she throws the cloak over Venus, and she says, "You know what? You're very special. One day they're gonna name a 4-blade razor after you." Arrangement in black and...
Oh, you're very special now. Cover yourself up, you whore.
gray number 1. Also known as Whistler's mother, most famous for its appearance in the Mr. Bean movie. Now, when Whistler's mother originally agreed to be painted, she agreed to be painted standing up, but she had to pose for so long that eventually she got quite tired and had to sit down. Here you go. And that became the famous pose.
Damn.
The Garden of Earthly Delights. All right.
Interesting. I wonder if that is actually true or just conjecture based on the content of the painting itself.
This one is probably my favorite because it looks like a Where's Waldo, and then the whole thing just goes completely off the rails. So, Mr. Hieronymus, that's a name that's going to make a comeback, is doing all of this cool surreal stuff about 500 years ago. So let's start on the left.
What
Here
the heck?
is Adam and Eve, and
I'm gonna be honest, I have never
the pre-incarnation of Jesus.
I've
And they are
never
all
seen
hanging
this
out
painting.
in the Garden of Eden. Now, what's going on in the middle bit?
Yeah, that's pretty normal
That's
there.
harder to explain. The best theory is
We don't really know what it represents. The joyous party, yeah.
either that this is Eden if people were allowed back into the garden, or if they had never left in the first place, or if man had not committed original sin. But look at the size of that strawberry.
Oh
Here
man.
it is. Then on the right-hand panel
There's
is
Waldo.
hell, or at least a very bad time. This
Space?
is where Oddlaw would end up, that son of a bitch.
No, that's
Right, now,
space. Let's be
Here's the
real.
interesting bit.
It looks like a very weird, grotesque space. But yeah, probably. Probably hell, looking at it. Everyone's having fun, partying with the animals, living with nature, chilling. And on the other side, there's a knife going through 2 pairs of ears.
It's not painted on a typical canvas. It's actually a sort of cabinet thing with 3 panels called a triptych. And the neat thing is, if you close the doors, more painting.
Oh!
That is the earth, and that is the firmament. A perfect balance between flat earth and globe theory. A Sunday afternoon on the island of La Grangette. This
Oh,
thing
I
is
know this
pretty big.
one.
And here's the real-life place it was painted after. Although they've beautified it even more with the office building at the back. What you may not know is that it is actually a sequel. First, George Seurat painted the left bank, and that's where all the working class sit. You see these guys that, you know, have a bit less money and stuff. Gross! And then this is the one that you all know, and that is on the right-hand bank. And all these people are a very bougie sort.
Oh, of course.
That is Scrappy-Doo. And that's a monkey.
Scrappy Doo. And the question is that Pecora? Is it Pecora that had a monkey?
The Last Supper. Okay, so the scene is this. All the disciples are gathered around, and this is the exact moment that Jesus declares, "Hey, by the way, I know one of you betrayed me." And this is everyone's shocked reaction to the news, except this one guy who's just pretending to be shocked. And here is who everyone is. I thought this was Mary, by the way. Turns out that's John. Very progressive. And that's all of the paintings, and no one has attempted one since.
No one attempted one. Oh my god. Oh. Lots of end of a part. And we have ad time just in time for Twitch ads too.
I wake up. Quickly, flip the Nord logo, Marianas Trench. Flip it the other way, 3 pyramids. There's not much time. I gotta log into NordVPN so the corporations can't
Someone
track me.
help
Marketing
me.
companies gang stalking me, listening to me through the walls. We found the death note. Wake up again. I don't have much time. The feds are at my door.
God
I
damn.
refuse to take my Nord milk pills. I wake up again. The demon in the corner of my room wants to access my NordVPN.
Don't let the demon in.
Because I can
Protect
use it on up to
yourself.
6 different devices.
Thanks, Nordman.
I know the corporations
Nice.
are building profiles on me. I go to Facebook, I go to Wikipedia, then suddenly I'm getting
Wikifeet.
ads for feet on my Facebook. Big feet, big foot, big farmer. On Tuesday, I saw a red car. Coincidence? Huge deal on a 2-year plan plus 4 bonus months. 4 sides to a triangle. Coincidence? There's a guy reacting to my life in the corner right now. 30-day money-back guarantee. What's the goddamn catch?
Fine.
Time's going faster than usual, and
I'll
only
be
a
in the
limited time to
corner.
get a great deal on a 2-year
There.
plan. I wake up again. It's the perfect Christmas present.
Who are
You were
Wait a
saying?
minute. My family died in a suspicious house fire. Skinwalker in my house. Change location to Finland. Different regions have
Run
different prices
away.
on plane tickets and hotels. That ain't even a conspiracy. I take more microplastics so I can see through the ether.
We're coming in, Nordman.
Pizza time.
But they're too late. I click Hyperborea and I am untouchable.
They went away.
If you understood anything that happened in this ad, go to nordvpn.com/incognito to get a huge deal on a 2-year plan plus 4 bonus months. Ad over.
Yay!
Alright, so this one is about how to spot a fake painting. I quite like this section, but it kind of got bogged down by all of its technical information, and it went quite long. So, here it is, for the discerning audience. How
For the discerning audience, meanwhile me, I like, yeah.
to spot a fake painting.
Do-do-do-do-do.
Glug, glug, glug. Oh,
Glug, glug.
God. Is that a real Michelangelo?
Yes.
We're here now. Quick hypothetical lower tax brackets. If paintings like this one or this one go for literally gajillions of dollars, that's USD, then what's to stop someone from doing this? Then this, and then this, then this, and then saying it's real when it ain't.
Well,
Faking a painting. Turns out,
a lot of
not
things.
much at all. In fact, it can be very difficult to tell these fake
Like NFTs, oh my god. It's actually quite a few things, right? Like you have the people that are verifying it, but then there's also the whole, depending on the painting, of course, there's like checking for age signs and when, like the color, where it was exposed, how long it stayed in the sun and shit like that. Like there's so much.
paintings from the ones that keep it real. There's a whole ass art to detecting these
Yep.
fakes. and it's become an arms race, where the authenticators find new ways of detecting, and the fakers find new ways to get around their methods.
Yep.
Technology's advanced. Do you think that makes it harder to make good forgeries?
No, you can beat the forensics.
So, authentication. There are three main categories: provenance, connoisseurship, forensics. Let's start in alphabetical order. Provenance. Now, provenance follows the history of the painting, tracking down the previous sellers and the buyers, all the galleries that exhibited it, the hand-to-hand that it was passed through, all the way back to the original painter.
Yeah.
However, the older the work, the harder it is, generally, to track the provenance. Take, for example,
Unfortunately, yes.
the most expensive painting ever sold, the Salvator Mundi, the final Da Vinci.
Oh,
Sold in
damn.
2017 for $400 million. And it can only be traced back to 1958.
Holy
Back
moly.
then, it was sold for £45. But in the other 500 years of its history,
Man, can you like imagine that poor person that sold it for £45? How salty they must be. Oh,
no one knew where this thing was.
Or
Even
their
today,
descendants.
people still dispute whether it's
hey,
genuine.
Aries.
I think it's a real flim-flam. And this is a made-up piece of junk. I think it's fake art news. Real in drag. Then it turns up in America?
Okay.
In New Orleans? Oh, I see. I think we've wished this Da Vinci into existence. Here's the lost Leonardo that somebody once mentioned in a book.
Provenance has gotten a lot easier over time.
Oh.
You used to have to track down books and read catalogs and stuff, but now it's all online. Control plus F, there it is.
Struggling artist. Is this dude mental? I don't think he approves of the latest Da Vinci. Art forgery is an underrated career path. I think like it's decently like forgery in general is decently populated. It's just not something very talked about, I feel like. Because it is pursued. Maybe not necessarily painting forgery, but there are a lot of forgery paths that one can take. They're very, very creative. Very.
So you see, kid, there's nothing online. Nothing. Tell me who you bought this from, you son of a bitch. Where did you get this? Tell me the name of the auction house that sold you it. Connoisseurship. Look at the work. Do you believe what you are seeing? How does it look? How does it taste? Are these ballpoint pen strokes those of a master artist? Luckily, there are people like Martin Kemp, who spend their whole careers focusing on single artists.
I've been dealing with Leonardo for, I suppose, about 50 years.
They can pick out the fakes. So, for example, when he was looking at La Bella Principessa, he went, yup, he uses the trois crayons. He's a left-handed artist. The proportions of the head and the face are all correct. You know what? I'm going to give this a big rubber stamp right there in the middle of the painting. Confirmed. So, for the fakers...
Have you ever seen F for Fake? No, I haven't seen that. But it's crazy that someone dedicates their entire life to just being able to spot the differences for one artist. And, like, that career path is viable simply because of the fact that they need someone to be able to verify shit like that. It's insane when you think about it.
They have to have a keen understanding of who they are copying. One of the best fakers, Almir Dahore, for example, mastered the brushstrokes of artists such as Matisse, Modigliani, and Renoir so well that hundreds of museums are currently in possession of his works, without even knowing it. Yes, well, Michelangelo is famous for his Cangiante painting techniques, and I can't see any of that here. You're 0 for 2, kid.
Jesus Christ. That's also like viable and really cool when you get like a really good forger and you can have them attest whether or not other things are forgeries. It's just like so badass. You'd enjoy it? Yeah, I'll add it to the list. How about?
You're going down. Forensics. This thing's going straight to the lab. You're about to have a paint brush up with the law. Masterpiece. More like you're a real masterpiece of shit, kid. Fuck you. Alright, now the people that solve murders have really changed the game when it comes to art forgeries by implementing radiocarbon dating. Radiocarbon dating. Carbon dating? Yeah, but it's not serious.
What? Looking for someone to date me, refer to image above. Nothing serious, just want someone to determine the age of an object with organic material using me. Ah, damn. Even the carbon wants to be used, man. It's sick of getting exhaled. It wants to be inhaled. Ah, I should see myself out. Welcome in, Aries.
Listen, you're made out of carbon. I'm made out of carbon. Paintings are made out of carbon. And when a thing is made out of carbon, there are these unusual isotopes of carbon-14, right? They're floating all throughout the air and the atmosphere. Now, all living things contain a trace of them. They are taken in when something eats, breathes, anything else. And that happens continuously throughout the life cycle. However, when the organism dies, it stops taking in new carbon, right? Which means it stops taking in new carbon-14. Same thing happens to a painting. You've stopped putting paint on the thing, no more carbon. Carbon-14 is an unstable isotope.
Interesting.
And it decays at a very steady rate. Poof. It turns into nitrogen-14 and a beta particle.
Beta!
And because these carbon-14 atoms decay at a very steady rate, in principle, you can look at the proportional number of carbon-14 atoms and determine how old something is. More carbon-14, newer painting. Less carbon-14, older painting. In 1985, using this technique,
That's cool.
they caught a guy, Robert Trotter, who forged a Sarah Hon painting. Ah, far too many carbon-14 atoms. Lock 'em up, boys. But there are even simpler methods of testing the age of a pigment. 3 Jackson Pollock paintings were found to be fake when it was determined that the pigments on the canvas weren't sold until the 1960s. But
yeah, like that. The pigment was the thing that I knew about. I didn't know about the carbon thing. That's very interesting to kind of know. Because you can also trace a certain mixture of the pigment on that's being used, which is crazy to me.
Pollock was dead by 1956. Nowadays, there are huge pigment libraries that can be easily cross-referenced. So that shows the year a pigment was first introduced and what year it stopped being used. For example, anything that has titanium white has to have been produced in the last 80 years. I'm going to be honest with you, kid. Michelangelo never used the yellow Crayola. X-rays. Now, you can blast this.
Aren't like some Crayolas just not available anymore? They don't get produced like certain colors.
Thing with some radiation and look behind the painting to see what's underneath. For example, did the artist do a sketch first? Maybe this is painted over something else. If you look behind the Mona Lisa, you can actually see that she had a much larger head once, although maybe it just shrunk with age. And you can see that veil much more easily. Also, if you x-ray even further, you can see her fully formed skeleton. But the art forgers of today are a wily bunch. Forgers can source old canvases from the correct period. They can use error-matching pigments. Even the carbon dating can be a bit unreliable. Heck, even the x-rays can be bullshitted, as forgers take into account that their work will be x-rayed, as they do a sort of fake painting or sketch first, and then paint the next version on top. Alright, kid, I'll give you $20,000 for this. Or a shiny new bottle of Ritalin.
The hell's Ritalin?
Works every time. This section is about Shakespeare. Wow, that would make so much sense for it to be in the theatre video on the main channel. This dude showed up.
I mean, the Shakespeare that got teased and never gotten into it? Yeah.
Up It changed the game.
Hey, Liquid, welcome. Ritalin is ADHD medication. I say, yeah, I wouldn't know because like ADHD meds are banned here, so like you can't get any of them. Our only medication is therapy.
Shakespeare. Here's the thing, though.
Spooky. Yes.
We basically know nothing about him. First, we don't know what he looked like. There are two best guesses. One is from this engraving on a first folio, but that wasn't put together until 7 years after he was already dead. One of his peers, Ben Jonson, knew him though and said, yeah, it's pretty close. So maybe. The second is a bust that was made for his grave. There are a bunch of others, but they weren't commissioned by Shakespeare himself. They weren't done while he was alive, and he didn't exactly stop to pose for them. But these are the ones we most recognize him by. This includes Chandos, which is probably the most recognizable.
Yeah.
So this could be
probably
him, or this could be some completely other dude, or it could be an idealized version. Now, we also don't know exactly when he was born, or when he died.
We don't know when he was born?
Died. His birthday is celebrated on the 23rd of April, but there's no record of that.
Really? Damn. I did not know that we didn't have a record of it. I just assumed that it's just that because we celebrate that birthday that we know of it. It's wild to me that we're celebrating an unknown variable. I'll always try to explain to Paws it's hard to get her started, but once her engine is purring, it's possible to stop. Hey, why are you gonna put it like that?
And then he died on the 23rd of April as well. So he died on his birthday? Odd coincidence. But we know that he did marry a lady named Anne Hathaway. Yes, same as Catwoman, but this one was the original. We also don't even really know how to spell his name. There are tons of different signatures by him.
I find it funny that we gotta mention the original on a video that's talking about forgeries. How do we know it's the real original one?
But they're practically all spelt differently. And let's not even get started on the conspiracies of whether or not he really wrote his plays. The son of two illiterate parents from a lower-class neighborhood suddenly becoming the world's greatest playwright? Bit suspicious. Also, whether he was gay, or worse, whether he was foreign, or what the hell is going on with his grave?
Or worse, whether he was foreign. Oh, man.
So if you go to the Holy Trinity Church in Stratford, there is his grave. There he lays, but there is an engraving above him. Blessed be the man that spares these stones, and cursed be he who moves my bones.
Wait, what?
You're not allowed to dig him up. So everyone is super spooked out by the curse, and they refuse to dig him up. So archaeologists instead have done radar scans.
Are you kidding me?
Turns out, his head is missing.
What? Bruh, this is so cool. This is such a conspiracy thing. Also, like, did they still not dig it up? Because, like, I don't believe in curses, man. Let me at him. I'll dig him up for you.
He was grave robbed in 1794.
Oh, wait. This one is a bit weird. There's actually a short story about Shakespeare's head being stolen, which was published in 1879. The story itself is set in 1794. In it, a man hires a gang of grave robbers to steal the head. In 2016, Shakespeare's grave was scanned and the head was discovered missing. Turns out there are all sorts of little details that match up between the short story and those of the real-life grave robbing that must have happened. The depth of the grave, the material inside, is very suspicious. Seems like someone knew someone.
So we can't even reconstruct him that way. And they won't open it up for DNA tests. So it's likely that we will never know the truth.
The church is controlling Shakespeare's graveyard? Are you kidding me? Oh, man. How deep does this go?
The government is hiding something. The point is, Shakespeare stole a theatre at one point. Okay, quick Shakespeare moment. In 1599, Shakespeare was working as a playwright with his acting troupe called the Lord Chamberlain's Men. Now, they were leasing out a theatre in Shoreditch called the Theatre. Creative name. Anyway, they had a disagreement with the landlord, Giles Allen. Giles revoked their lease. Shakespeare and the Chamberlain's Men were not very happy about that, but they had no option but to walk away. But a few days later, in the dead of night, they came back. Now, the group met up just outside the theatre, and they had bribed the watchmen to look the other way. Then, with daggers and tools in hand, they broke into the theatre. Now, they weren't there to kill Giles, and they weren't there to steal stuff from the theatre. No.
They wanted to practice.
They were there to rob the theatre. They tore down the entire building, piece by piece, and they started carting it away to a warehouse. From there...
Excuse you, what?
There they ferried it across the Thames and over to Southwark. With the materials that they stole, they constructed the Globe Theatre.
How?
And there it stood for the next 14 years until it burnt down.
How?
It was a performance of Henry VIII.
How do you just bribe someone to steal an entire theatre in the dead of night without anyone realizing?
And a prop cannon was involved. Don't worry about that. But then it was rebuilt. But then in 1642 it was shut down again. But in 1997, a recreation of the Globe Theatre was made once more. And in London, you can visit it today. As long as you can avoid being stabbed.
As long as you can avoid being stabbed. Why would you be stabbed? Oh, my God. I have no words.
And now for the
Shakespeare
best
stole
section of all.
the show
people, we're
again.
Ready to shoot. Where's the pizza box with the hole in it?
What?
Oh. Never mind, that's my cue. I gotta go. Catch you soon.
The pizza box with the hole in it? No way. No, no, no. My eyes, my ears, my innocence. What have you done, Internet Historian? What have you done?